So, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coaches Unleashed and Other Stories. Today, I have with me David Garwood. David is a transformational coach and a professional storyteller for Animas Centre for Coaching. Thank you so much, David, for accepting my invite to be interviewed by me today. Welcome.
Thank you, Beatrice. It's a pleasure to be here and an honour. First time on this side of the camera. Recently, I've been interviewing some fantastic people as part of my role at Animas. Recently interviewed yourself. So I have big shoes to fill.
And I love this title of you being, a professional storyteller. And you are a wonderful storyteller. I've gone to see all the interviews that you've put together for Animas and the beautiful edits. And I just thought, David has such a cool story to tell. Well, you've got multiple stories, but I thought it would be really good to interview you. So, I'm really looking forward to having this chat with you today.
So thanks, Beatrice. Coaching, I initially encountered it in my old role as an IT technician about 5 or so years ago. So just before the pandemic, we had a one-to-one developer scheme at work. I applied and I successfully was given a fantastic one-to-one developer. So that was someone who was trained in the basics of coaching. And over the next sort of 6 months, we met once a month and I was coached. And straight away, I just never felt so heard before. I had these sort of realizations and mini breakthroughs in our conversations. And I thought, oh, I really, really like this, being someone who's super interested in personal development. I read a lot of that sort of type of book, that genre, listen to the podcasts, and coaching, being coached, like brought it all together for me. I started to see and feel this real progress. So after my one-to-one developer session, it was 6 months. After that sort of ended, I sought a private coach, which was someone I knew from a previous job. Their partner was a coach, a leadership coach, specializing in resilience. And we started working together, contracted to work together for a year. And as part of working together, I identified through the sessions that I'd be really, really interested in training as a coach myself. And what happened was that I decided to take a sabbatical from my job, 4-month sabbatical. And at the same time as my sabbatical, I thought, well, I'll train as a coach. And I was able to time the coach training with a company called Animas. That coincided with the 4 months I was looking to take for my sabbatical. So it was once every, I think, couple of weeks. We had a full day of coach training and went through the different modules. And I did it from various different countries. At the time, I was backpacking around Eastern Europe and completed the qualification. And after completing my, I think it was 40 hours of practice time, I was able to apply for the diploma and I was successful in achieving the diploma. So I was then an accredited transformative life coach. And yeah, that's where my journey began.
And so being coached yourself, what did you start to sort of, what were your light bulb moments, or what started to shift in you whilst you were going through this?
So it was initially just creating a space for all the thoughts and the feelings that were coming up for me. I was having a number of challenges at work. I'd encountered burnout a few times. I realized through coaching that doing all of the same actions was repeatedly leading me to the same outcomes. So, the same behaviors, same outcomes. Even if I thought I'll push a little harder this time, or I sort of never did. And I was stuck in this like feedback loop, a little bit like Groundhog Day. So coaching helped me to get to identify what was going on and realize that this has happened in my last 3 different jobs for 3 different companies. So I can't blame the job and the company. It was something about my behavior and the way I was approaching situations and the pressure I was putting on myself in particular that was leading to these burnouts. So once I'd identified that, the work wasn't done there. That's kind of where the work began, was right, how do I now break out of this feedback loop in order to stop getting burnt out and to come up with a different way of working that works more for me. And if it works well for me, it'll work well for everyone around me. So that was one of the realizations.
Myself, and then discovered the reasons behind that burnout. But it is quite, I think once you've had a burnout or repeated burnouts, unless you change something, you're going to keep having them, right? You need to really start taking care of yourself, putting those boundaries in. And, quite strict with yourself in terms of not overworking yourself. I mean, I tend to get very passionate about things and to have to prove myself as well that I can do it and I can do it. And oh my gosh, I mean that I've kind of let go of that, but sometimes I do what I feel is that I do have a tendency to overwork, which is not good, of course. But it's also have will help me to help keep me accountable. I don't know what's it like for you having experienced burnout. Do you feel that you're also now needing to work on ensuring that you don't into that tendency?
Yes, definitely. And thanks for sharing your story as well, Beatrice. I always say I'm just never complete, not 100% of the way there. I don't think I ever will be, but I feel like I'm a work in progress. And I think the first step of breaking out of a cycle of repeated burnouts is seeing and realizing what's going on and sort of admitting, right, this isn't working for me, something needs to change. And by identifying and kind of being able to catch myself before I go over the edge of the cliff, the burnout was really key in changing some of my actions and pulling back. And things like, through the coaching, I identified that I need to have some better communication with my team and my manager, and make it really clear that this is something that I do suffer with. And also, start asking for more help, start reaching out to people, stop taking it all on my shoulders, and stop trying to be the superhero all the time, because it's not all down to me. And so I sort of started to do that. I started to see that, everybody else is actually really happy to help and support. And I had a wonderful team who did. And then I was able to move away from the cycle of burnout and start to make some real progress.
David, there's many different questions I want to ask you. But there's one in particular, which is, how is it that you decided to train with Animas?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Beatrice. So my decision to train with Animas wasn't an easy one, as I tend to need all of the information, all of the options, and then analyze them in detail, read reviews, etc., for things like buying a toaster. So something as big as a significant investment in a coaching course was not an easy decision for me. And so the way I made that decision was by, as I said, one by one, analyzing the different coaching schools, looking at the ways in which they were accredited, and working out how their schedule of training would fit in with my 4-month sabbatical that I was planning. And also, one of my core values is community. And I think the people we surround ourselves with are so influential in terms of the progress that we can make. So I think 2 minds are always better than one, and the sum of the kind of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So what Animas offered was this lifetime membership of the Animas coaching community through a platform called Coaches Uncaged. And the reason that really appealed to me was that I had a rough awareness that there'd be some tasks associated with building a business after qualifying as a coach. I had no idea just how many there would be and how many areas of expertise that you need to cultivate, sales and marketing and financing. There's just so much to go at. And it felt a little bit for me like I qualified as a coach. Yay, here we go. I want to share this gift with the world. And then, oh my goodness me, there's all of these things I don't know about running a business and marketing myself and, selling services to people. So where Animas has been so good, and where I'm so glad that I chose Animas, has been that post-qualification support. And the people that I've met through webinars, the Coaches Uncaged series, some of the resources that are available to us are invaluable. You can't put a price on a connection that might lead to a business networking event, and then you meet someone else that leads to someone else that ultimately leads to a client. So the community element was really important to me. The fact that they are accredited by all three different, at that time they were only coaching school that were accredited by all three different kind of providers, and the schedule of the training worked really well for me. Now, ideally, I would have preferred in person, as I just love being in person, surrounded by people and getting the energy from others. However, while I was traveling on my sabbatical, I didn't know where I was going to be the next week, never mind 4 months ahead. So the remote style of delivery actually worked really well for me. And because there was loads of breakout rooms, loads of practice sessions, and kind of loads of chat through our little WhatsApp group in between the different modules, I felt like I was part of something greater than me. And I didn't just feel like I was doing a course. I felt like I was part of a revolution, and was, really, I really connected so well with the rest of the delegates, yourself being one of them. And I'm still in communication, 2 years later, with a lot of the people that we trained with.
Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, absolutely. I get what you mean by the ongoing support that Animas provides their community, their students, their training coaches, the coaches once they become certified coaches, and the fact that they're so accredited with the AC, with the EMCC, with the ICF. It's just really incredible. So yeah, so I'd love to know a little bit more about your your reason for wanting to take a sabbatical, what it was like to take a sabbatical, and what happened, when you came back from the sabbatical. And I'm just going to compound that with another question, which is, and how did you become an Animas professional storyteller?
Whoa, well, there's a lot in that. Thanks, Beatrice. So I suppose a logical place to start with that answer would be, why did I choose to take a sabbatical? Again, not an easy decision at all. I'd never done any solo travel. Had no idea what to expect. I had this feeling every day, during meetings at work, I was looking out the window, sort of watching the sunset and the sunrise on yet another work day, thinking, I wonder, it feels like there's something more out there. Feels like I could be doing something more with my life. And, you have events happen, like I had an accident on the bike while I was cycling, and was in A&E for some time, really badly injured, and luckily didn't break anything. Caveat that. But it just gave me that realization that, life is precious and the time we have is limited, and we need to, enjoy life. And if we're not ultimately enjoying what we're doing, then it's down to us to change it, and no one's going to change that for us. So along with loads of conversations with my coach, Russell, at the time, I decided, I'll have the conversation with work and I'll ask about the possibility of a sabbatical. I'll look at a period that seems reasonable. which 4 months sent like reasonable for work and for me. And then I will literally just book a flight to France, as our nearest neighbouring country that's outside of the UK, and go and do some volunteering. And if I do 2 weeks of volunteering and come home, that's fine. I might even go back to work early. And we discussed that in advance with work. We discussed kind of every eventuality. What if I decide to come back to work early? What if I want to, leave my job completely? Kind of, we'd discussed it all so that nothing was off the table, as I had a fantastic employer and a great manager at the time. So I went fast forward to the sabbatical, went to France, and then realized that I absolutely loved being in this new environment, this new country, this new culture, and decided after 2 weeks of volunteering to get onto the backpacker circuit and do hostels. And everyone had told me, as someone who loves socializing and living in shared houses, that I was going to really enjoy that. And lo and behold, I did. I loved it. And meeting new people every day, having deep and meaningful conversations with them, sitting until 2 a.m. at night around a fire, talking about the meaning of life and the purpose of life, and, all those sort of really wholesome things, which for some people wouldn't, be their worst nightmare, but for me was a dream come true. So did that. And then it just led to, I'll go to another country and I'll keep kind of gnawing away at that comfort zone. I'll keep expanding it. So instead of, France and then Spain, and then I'll go a bit further, I'll go to Croatia, and I'll go now start going through the Balkans and work my way up, and eventually finished in Austria and Slovakia. And what was initially, walking into a new hostel, booking a new night away, I kind of initially tried to force it and plan ahead and have this perfect plan. And the best laid plans seldom actually work out. So things were falling through all over the place. I was getting frustrated. So one day I kind of made the decision to just roll with it and to kind of let go of the outcome. And that was when it got extremely good, as I'd have, my week's schedule would be just empty. And when I'd meet someone who would say, we're going on a boat trip tomorrow or a bus trip to a different country, do you want to come along? I was then able to say, yes, I have no plan for tomorrow. I'll come along. And, made some great friends that way, had some great experiences, and it really took off. At the end of my 4-month sabbatical, I came back for a friend's wedding, and then a couple of holidays later, went back to work and didn't feel like I belonged back in my old role at the tea company, and was just sort of thinking, I really want to go and have more of a go at this travel, and I've now had this taster of what's out there, and I want to go and do it more. So luckily I was in the position where I was able to do that, and made the incredibly hard decision to leave my job, a place that I loved, with a team of people that I considered close friends. It was like being part of a family, and I made the really tough decision to leave that family behind and to go on my own with a one-way flight to New Zealand, with a 1-year working holiday visa. So that led then to 3 months in New Zealand, followed by a month in Australia, and then into Southeast Asia, places like Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia. And it's easy to say all of those countries now, but at the time I was like a fish out of water, made lots of mistakes, got lost in places. My first arrival in Hanoi, I had the worst time of my life. I hated it because it was just too full on and intense. I really was a fish out of water, but all of the process throughout, I was constantly learning and growing and developing myself and my own confidence and my self-belief. And towards the end of that journey, someone from home contacted me who had been watching my journey about a job back home, kind of similar to my old job, but the next step up. And I thought, I'll give it a try. Now's as good a time as ever to go home. My partner was at home as well, so I came back to be with her, to live together, and to start this job. Kind of 5 months of that job showed me that kind of being in the world of IT was no longer where I really want to be. I felt like I've been there, done that, and it's just, it's not where my passion lies. And when I decided to leave that role, the team said to me, we could tell that your heart wasn't really in it. No matter how hard you try to hide it, I think people can tell and they can pick up on more than you think. So decided to leave, and then had a conversation, kind of a speculative conversation with Ruth, the MD of Animas, and said, I'm leaving coaching. I'm leaving the world of IT from my old role as an IT manager, and I'm interested in opportunities. My passion lies in personal development and the coaching space. I have my own little coaching practice that I'm starting to build up, coaching 1 or 2 people, but it's not yet become a full-time job. So I want a role that can bridge that gap. And also I can bring, my love of having conversations and kind of enjoyment of writing and a load of other transferable skills from my IT career across with me. And then Ruth created me this new fabulous role as a professional storyteller. And here I am today. I think we've done 5 published interviews so far. That's the article, the YouTube video, Instagram reels and shorts. I work with an amazing team of editors who take my raw footage and make it into something amazing for social media. So super grateful for them. And yeah, that's kind of where we are today.
I love that. I love how, obviously listening and dreaming about you going on this incredible travel adventure. But then what I absolutely love is you coming back to secure job and understanding and having the courage to admit to yourself that in actual fact, you had kind of outgrown that career and it wasn't really what your heart wanted anymore. And you actually, again, going out of your comfort zone. I know you a little bit, right? I know how you are. And I can imagine you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to make contact with people and, going back to the school that had trained you, which is obviously, has got a wealth of sort of community, but ideas. I mean, Animas is just incredible because they're always, they really have this mission, right? Which is to help people flourish and develop themselves. And that, that Ruth Randall, the MD of Animas, would listen to you and you being able to even just articulate what it was that you were looking for and that you have these gifts that you would like to be able to use and to bridge the gap and all that. And then for her to come up with a new role for you is just absolutely amazing. It's so inspiring, and I think that's what people need to do when they're looking to change, to transition in their career. It's really all about leveraging your social capital, your network, and having those conversations. And that you never know where they're going to take you, right? Some of them are just exploratory conversations. Some of them are just clarifying conversations for you. Some of them will lead to people saying, oh, you know what? I know somebody that's looking for somebody like you, or you know what? Let's create a job. This could be amazing. So just wonderful, very inspiring, David.
Thanks, Beatrice. I will just say a lesson that I've learned. I think I've heard on podcasts that a key differentiator between the successful and the less successful is just not needing to know as much information before taking that lead. And I'm a great believer, as I find all the time, that what's meant for you will find you, and the resources that you need when you embark on a journey find you along the way. So I went into this role at Animas with taking a leap of faith, and the team have been extremely supportive, and I've since found some professional development courses I can do to improve myself along the way. And kind of from everything I do every day and everyone I meet, there's a nugget of advice and there's a little gem in there that just helps me move a little bit forward. And it's the same with my coaching practice alongside my role. People just keep coming out of the woodwork, opportunities, resources that I might need if I'm feeling a little bit stuck or unsure where to go next. They just keep coming out at just the right time, but I couldn't have predicted that, and I wouldn't have necessarily known where to find that. But the process of just embarking and taking that step onto that kind of into the unknown so far has proven really, really fruitful.
Hmm. No, yes. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And your your coaching practice that you're now setting up. Um, and sounds to me like you're still very much, even though you're a fully certified coach, still setting up your practice. What is it about having your own practice that you love?
Thanks, Beatrice. And I'll say it to pick up on your question. I graduated from Animas with the ICF accredited course, so the diploma, but I haven't yet done the ICF certification itself, the
Mhm.
accreditation. That's the next step. And I've heard on a recent course that, not the most qualified coach might not be the best coach, and it goes for the other way around as well. So not to get me myself, I've learned not to be too hung up on, oh well, I haven't got that credential yet. So don't let that stop you moving forward and still providing awesome coaching sessions. And I must
Absolutely.
admit, I'm a little. Can you remind me of your question?
So my question is, what is it that you absolutely love about setting up your own business as a coach, your own practice as a coach?
Oh, that's a toughie. It's a complete new world to me. I mean, running my own business, I've worked for businesses for years in different sectors, private and public, and not really known, what the sales team do, what the finance team do, what the marketing team do. So getting this glimpse and having this opportunity to do it for myself, it's a huge learning curve. It can be really quite draining sometimes. It literally wears me out. But then other days you do make progress with something, you learn something, you try something and it works. So sometimes, you put a post on LinkedIn, someone replies to it and then actually does message you and say, oh, I saw that post. That's really good. And let's have a chat. And that may lead to a client. And it's those little wins. And it's so easy to focus on all the things. I'm totally guilty of focusing on all the things we haven't done yet and that are on the to-do list that just seems infinitely long. But it's really, really important to just focus on the little wins, and it just baby steps, just going to that business networking event and saying, hi, I'm David, I'm a coach. That's a little win. Meeting someone in the business networking event, going for coffee with them, connecting, that's a little win. And kind of racking up and building that momentum from all those little wins. And at the end of the week or the month or even the year, you can look back and say, wow, look how far I've come. And there was no one huge action that made a huge step forward. It's kind of just a combination of that, lots and lots of little baby steps.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, David, just thinking of, what's coming up next for you. So, what's next for you I know that you just finished doing a vision board exercise as well. You told me before I hit record. And I'm just wondering, what are you, hoping to achieve, or what are you envisioning to achieve in the future for yourself?
Thanks, Beatrice. I think that the broad answer is, I know that with what I'm doing, I want to be creating that positive impact, having a positive, making a positive difference in the world. So that means, having these conversations with clients that move them forward, help them to get unstuck. Because as when you're having a conversation with someone and you see that light bulb moment and that insight and that realization, it gives you the dopamine hit as well as their kind of conversation thinking partner. And then when you see the progress they make, you send you a little voice message or a picture. And I do it to my coaches all the time. So say, look at this thing I did and it worked out really well. And then we all get to celebrate that. That's invaluable. That's so pleasurable and rewarding, and a sort of satisfaction that I haven't had from work in a really long time. And it's fun and it can be playful as well. So there's that. And specifically, I'm still I'm in the process of defining my niche and refining the sort of people it is that I work with. So, for example, last weekend, I was cycling with someone and we had a fabulous conversation. And not only did we move forward on the bikes, he moved forward significantly in his line of thinking. And something that he'd been trapped in, sort of this story he was telling himself and this repeating loop for over a year, procrastinating on getting started. While we're on the bike ride, we had that breakthrough of what is it that's going to, help you just get over that final hurdle and actually get going. And he found it, identified it, and he's since texted me to say, I've done the thing and I feel amazing. And it's like virtual five. And we're going to meet for coffee next week and celebrate. And that wasn't a coaching client, but it was a friend who I've been practicing the coaching skills with. But it has the potential to turn into a coaching client. And that's a huge message in there. What I've found is that giving kind of the coaching experience, giving it, away for free in a conversation, for me has led to several actual paid coaching clients. But that might not necessarily work for everyone. I think we all have to find our own way of marketing and selling our services. But broadly, what's there for me on my vision board, one day I'd love to be a professional speaker and to speak on a TEDx stage. One day I'd love to publish a book. And I'd absolutely love to start or be part of an organization that stands for empowering young people, young professionals to see past all of their limiting belief, everything that's holding them back, all those stories that they tell themselves that don't serve them, and to take that leap of faith into the unknown, and then to realize what they're fully capable of, as we're all so much more capable than we realize we are. And people around us, they tell me all the time, oh, you're amazing, you do this, it's great. I get wonderful feedback, but it never sinks in because the way they see me is not how I see myself. So just to help people just see themselves truly for what they are capable of, for me is a mission I want to get behind. And I want to be part of a revolution, a group of other people united, in the achievement of that mission. Don't know exactly how that's going to work out, right? And that's the fun of it. But that's the broad direction I'm going in, with not too many specifics.
And I will be there supporting, and I'll be one of the first people to watch your TEDx and definitely read your book. And I'll have you sign a book as well.
You can pass me the mic, Beatrice, after you finish yours.
Well, yes, that's gonna take me a little bit of work. It's kind of in the back of my mind as well. And because again, as coaches, we need to, if we want to make an impact, we need to let the world know about what it is that we do and how we do it and the benefits of what we do. So it does take some courage to get out there, but it's definitely also in the back of my mind, both of those things that you said. Maybe we can do our vision board together next time.
Definitely.
So
scissors and glue.
So we're coming almost to the end of our time together for our little interview here today. David, is there anything that you would like to say to our viewers and our listeners?
Thanks, Beatrice. I think an invitation, really, if there's some part of my story you resonate with, if you are also in that position that you're procrastinating and thinking, I'd quite like to go traveling, I'm maybe like to train as a coach, I'm perhaps just feeling that something is missing or lacking in my career, to reach out and we can just have a chat. I'd be delighted to share with others, some of the things I've learned on my journey, and maybe help them identify what's holding them back so that they can achieve what I've done in years, hopefully in a matter of weeks or months. If someone else can learn from the mistakes I've made, then that's a win for us both.
Yeah, accelerate the process.
Exactly.
Accelerate the process. Great. So, David, thank you so much for joining me today, for joining us today. I hope that it was as enjoyable for you as it was for me. I definitely loved having you on my quirky show. And you know, so I think we've come to a close now, and I just want to say again, thank you very much to all our listeners and viewers for being with us today. And if you're interested to come on the show, let me know. If you're interested to share some ideas of how we could improve the show, again, let me know. Thank you so much. Do you want to just say goodbye, David, as well?
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Beatrice.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody. Bye.